So I am covered in sweat. Just finished setting up outside. We're under the air conditioner. Atka knows where the best spot is. That's where he goes. He figured that out a long time ago. We move into the rig from outside and he gets the best spot. Yeah, it is Artillery Ridge. It's actually a horse park. And I'm going back inside to cool down. So anyways, Mom, Dawn needs to get her stuff. Let me get out of the way. I have no idea what this place is like. It looks great on paper, but wait till you see the pool.
New owners took over a couple years ago and they've been remodeling.
Well, they've had 2 years, so
pool is being remodeled. Well, you don't think there was a year of COVID.
Anyways,
you look really great on these videos, you know that.
This is the yeah, we're right next to the pool. That's the pool right over there. Definitely kind of a rustic park to some degree, priced at resort prices. I think it's just because we're so close to Gettysburg, but all right, let's go ahead and get set up inside and cool down.
Maybe this isn't what I thought it was.
Glamour shot.
We are literally camped about a block from the entrance to the Gettysburg site.
Battlefield historic site, yeah. We're just a block away from that. We're on our way into town to get something to eat, and we saw the visitor center is right here. It was actually good that we did this. We got all sorts of great information.
We are now members of the museum here.
Yep, and we got information on a car tour. We'll talk about that. So a lot of cool stuff. So now we can go eat, and we'll share all this when we start. This is the Farnsworth House Inn presents Sleepy Hollow Ghost Tour. So we've got plenty of opportunities to tour this place. But first, ice cream. Dawn's outside right now taking some pictures of the Ohio Regiment. We decided not to do the pay the guy $75 to drive our car around with us in it, because we found an app, about a $9 app, or $10 app, excuse me, and I'll post it. It's actually $10 if you do the complete tour, which we're doing, and it's a driving tour that will pretty much take us further than what the other guy was going to do as a guided tour. So did you get the Ohio?
What?
You got the Ohio?
Yes, it is the Ohio. But it's not...
Well, obviously...
Yeah,
he wasn't in this part. The Ohio was a big regiment. They were split between the West and the Northern.
Because it is part of the Ohio.
Oh, yeah. All right, so moving on with the tour. Tree lines in the fields are very similar to where they were 150 some odd years ago. And like I said, this road was built on a natural ridge that they were holding, and the battery of artillery was behind it, and they moved back to the tree line when the Confederates were encroaching a little too much. This is 142nd Pennsylvania Infantry, 1st Brigade, 3rd Division, 1st Corps. Oh, there is something about this guy. This is the New York. Abner Doubleday, Major General, Commander of the 1st Corps of the Army of the Potomac at Gettysburg. So Abner Doubleday was here at Gettysburg. We talked about Abner Doubleday when we were at Arlington National Cemetery, and that was where he was finally laid to rest at Arlington. And he himself, well, I don't think he cared about being known as the father of baseball. He really had very little to do with it, but that's what everyone wants to believe. We know better though, don't we? But it doesn't take away from the fact that he was a Civil War hero. I think historians should have left it at that. Point of view from over here from these trees. You're down here below the ridge line, not necessarily realizing that just right over that ridge is all the Union forces just bearing down on you. In fact, on one of the charges, they didn't realize that the Union had been reinforced, and the Confederate infantry was getting mowed down, not realizing that they had fresh troops there firing on them. So they had Union forces coming at them from this side. They had dropped down into this railroad cut and unfortunately could not fire over the top of it. It was too deep. So they tried to climb out of it, but realized it was too steep. Union forces came in from this side and literally were just firing away at them. Some of them managed to escape toward the west in the opposite direction, but quite a few of them were gunned down right in this pass. The battle was taking place all around us here. The white barn that you see off in the distance actually existed at that time, and it was actually used as a field hospital for both sides of the war. I think it's important when you visit these sites to leave yourself open, to kind of feel the amount of power and destruction that took place. Sort of a feeling of dread can come over you in some of these places. It's just mind-boggling to think of the lives that were lost to try to defend freedoms and the unity of this country and allowing all people to be free. It's just mind-boggling when you think about it. So I stand here on this ridge. This is overlooking the first day's battles. In that field directly in front of us, there was a major skirmish that took place that almost 1,000 Confederates were gunned down in a matter of minutes. There were Union soldiers behind the ridge to the far left of me. Confederate soldiers left the ridge on the right, crossing the field. When they were within 80 yards, Union soldiers stood up and opened fire. And a series of volleys left over 900 dead laying on the field of the Confederate soldiers. This is the Peace Memorial.
This is where they united. The handshake over the wall.
Oh, was this where that took place?
I think it's down over here, but
wow.
This is the dedication for it.
So this is one good reason why to do an audio tour in a car.
Yep. It's coming down.
So that thunder and the rain we talked about, here it is.
Yeah, look, the trees you can see. I mean, it
wow.
is just...
Oh man, did we leave the awning down?
Oh shoot.
Well, we're getting ready to start our second full day in Gettysburg. We decided that we're going to get up early and get out of here early, so it's 10:47 a.m. Yeah, I don't think we know what early is anymore. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and pick up the tour today. Still the end of the first day of fighting at Seminary Ridge. That's where we finished up yesterday on the driving tour. And we're going to pick up the driving tour at Seminary Ridge, move on from there. At 1 p.m. on July 3rd, approximately 150 Confederate cannon opened fire on Cemetery Ridge and Cemetery Hill, 1 mile to your front. Federal artillery responded. This thunderous bombardment, a prelude to the Confederate assault known as Pickett's Charge, lasted nearly 2 hours and was heard miles away at 3 p.m. Confederate General Robert E. Lee watched his battle line near 12,000 Confederate infantrymen step out across these open fields toward Union troops on Cemetery Ridge. Federal artillery and musketry pelted advancing Southerners, but they pressed forward into the storm of battle. A few hundred Confederates reached Cemetery Ridge, clashing in hand-to-hand combat. Within an hour it was over. Nearly half of the 12,000 had fallen. Pickett's charge had failed. Pretty much overwhelmed. It's a powerful feeling, a very sombering feeling that just behind me in this field, that who knows how many Union soldiers perished, but almost 6,000. 6,000 Confederate soldiers lost their lives crossing that field back in July 3rd of 1863. Wow. So I just finished making up this thing. Amazing view. Knees are a bit rubbery. But man, you'll see the videos and pictures from up there. Quite awesome. As I stand here in these woods, this is Big Round Top. And after climbing that tower, I realize I need to be careful getting out of the truck. My legs are like rubber at the moment. But these are the woods around Big Round Top. There's a path. I don't think we'll take it right now. It doesn't really, it's just the woods where a lot of the soldiers had hid out. But the Union Sharpshooter Brigade pretty much laid waste to a lot of the Confederates that were hiding out in these woods. You should check out the story behind the sharpshooters. Green uniforms. And there's a lot of interesting information on those guys, so you may want to check that out. So this is Little Round Top. These rocks in front of me is Devil's Den. Confederate sharpshooters took placements up in this area and were picking off Federal forces behind me on Little Round Top. This walking tour is pretty cool. I mean, it's taken me through some definitely a path, but not a huge path. But this is really fun stuff. I think I lost Dawn. She did not follow me over here. Oh, there she is. Dawn? She's probably, what the heck are you doing? All right. We're going into the boulders. The monument behind me is the state of Pennsylvania monument to the war. They had names of everyone from Pennsylvania that fought in this war surrounding it on these plaques. The metal figures on this and the plaques on this monument were actually made from metal that was melted down cannons. So it was leftovers from the war. So I'm basically walking across what's known as the high water mark. The ridge that I'm on is actually Cemetery Ridge. Off in the distance beyond that monument is Seminary Ridge. As we come up on this front, along this rock wall, this overlooks the valley where Pickett's charge took place. So we were at Pickett's charge just a short while ago, and when you come up and look across, you can see the field. There it is, straight in front of me. We were on the opposite side. It was about a mile across. In fact, these people coming up this walkway here is a path across the fields, and this was Pickett's charge. When they were just on the other side of this road is when we started when the federal forces started opening fire. Have to think about that. I'm saying we because I'm now part of the United States, but back then my family was definitely on the Confederate side. I'm sure glad they lost, but anyways, it's a shame that so many people had to die as a result. So directly behind me, Confederate forces and Pickett's charge was coming this way. 12,000 men, almost half of them were mowed down in that charge. About 600 made it to this point and proceeded in hand-to-hand combat. They were driven back again, one of the biggest losses for the Confederacy. Straight across, in fact, I think I can almost see the General Lee statue from here. It's like right about there, I want to say, and that's where the General Lee statue is, where he sat and watched his men cross that field. Starting about here, going all the way over to about there, that whole line along that tree ridge was 150 artillery firing onto this position here. For about 2 hours, artillery blasted on both sides, trying to soften the infantry lines so the charge can take place. It was kind of a last-ditch effort for Robert E. Lee. As they mentioned in a tour that I was listening to, Pickett pretty much did the Hail Mary pass, and this time, to the dismay of the Confederates and to the huzzah for the Union Federal forces, the Hail Mary was a failure. They lost incredible casualties in the fight. And this is where it took place, right behind me. Probably the most important position of the entire war. The Union hung in the balance. You realize the ground that I'm standing on right now could have been a very different place if the Union had not held. We could still have Confederate States of America. Hard to imagine if there would still be slavery. Very good chance that it would be. It was an institution that lasted hundreds of years, and I'm sure it could have withstood a few hundred more, as awful as that is to think about. But like every good story, it's hard to say if it was a happy ending, but at least all men now are free in this country. And I lost on again. It happens a lot. I'll find her. The Sachs-covered bridge was actually built in 1852. It was actually used by both the Confederate and Union soldiers crossing over this river.
we're in Gettysburg. Wow.
Yeah.
History. It's amazing. You know, when you think about it, it was a 3-day battle, but the most intense ever, the most lives lost on American soil ever. And you think it's just the battlefield and maybe a graveyard or two.
It's
but
huge.
let me tell you,
massive.
it's massive, and there's so much to it, including the town. And the history here is something that is unbelievable. Behind us here is the Pennsylvania monument. It's the largest monument here for the Pennsylvania soldiers, and it's surrounded by Lincoln and some of the other major players in the Battle of Gettysburg. But
we do want to end it here because we don't need to recap the whole battle for them again. You saw it all. You saw it with us. Wow, what an amazing week we've had here. So, anyways,
I don't think it was long enough.
No,
I really don't think it's been long enough.
I mean, it took a few days just to get through the driving tour. In fact, as we're standing here, we're not quite all the way through the driving tour yet.
Through it.
So this is going to be the end of the video.
Yeah. We haven't even gone to the graveyards yet, the cemeteries.
So
there's so much more to see.
But you will have seen that.
You'll see it already.
Time travel. Okay.
Let's go back.
So anyways, we're going to end this video here.
Right.
This has been an amazing time. Don't forget to hit that subscription button.
And hit that bell and let you know when we post every Sunday at 2.
And thumbs up for good measure. And I'm hoping that by the time you see this, I will have had a chance to catch up the website. But we do have a website, www.ourroadtocamelot.com.
And Facebook and Instagram.
And
I try to keep up with those as much as I can.
You keep those up. You keep up on those. The website kind of served a backseat for a short time. Anyways, safe travels.
Sláinte.
See you on the road.